I never thought my own blood would turn on me like that, right there at the Sunday dinner table I'd built with my own hands. Welcome to the Mental Grand, where stories of quiet justice remind us that dignity isn't given, it's earned. It was a crisp autumn evening in our old Victorian home in suburban Chicago, the kind of house I'd poured my life savings into after decades of climbing the corporate ladder as a lawyer. My son, Mark, sat at the head of the table now, acting like he owned the place, which in a way he was trying to make true. My daughter, Lisa, was beaming beside her fiancé, a slick investor named Greg from a well-connected family in D.C. The nephew I'd raised like my own, Tom, was there too, smirking as he passed the mashed potatoes. They'd all been buzzing about Lisa's upcoming wedding to Greg, how it would open doors to big investors and political circles. Then Mark turned to me, his voice dripping with false pity. "Dad, we've been talking. You're not coming to the wedding. You're just worthless these days. Old, out of touch. You'd embarrass us all." The room went silent, forks clinking awkwardly. Lisa avoided my eyes. Greg chuckled under his breath, and Tom nodded like it was common sense. That moment shattered something in me, but I didn't yell. I just nodded, stood up, and walked out the door I'd paid for, leaving my plate untouched. As I drove back to my small apartment downtown, the one I'd rented after they pushed me out of the family firm, I replayed the years of betrayal in my mind. I'd founded that law firm in the 80s, specializing in corporate mergers and financial disputes. It was my legacy, built on late nights and smart deals that kept families like ours afloat. But Mark, my ambitious son, had risen through the ranks, bringing in Greg as an investor and Tom as a junior partner. Last year, in a board meeting packed with those same investors, Mark humiliated me publicly. "Dad's ideas are outdated," he'd said, sliding a report across the table that twisted my past successes into failures. "We need fresh blood." They voted me off the board right there, in front of everyone I'd mentored. Greg clapped him on the back, and Tom drafted the paperwork. Worse, they'd started eyeing the house. Lisa mentioned updating the deed casually one day, and I later found out Mark had tricked me into signing documents during a family meeting, claiming it was for tax purposes. Those papers quietly transferred partial ownership to him and Greg, setting up a takeover. They thought I was senile, too old to notice, but as I sat in my apartment that night, staring at the city lights, a calm resolve settled in. They had no clue what I was capable of. What I uncovered next would flip everything on its head. I cut contact that very week. No calls, no texts, no showing up for holidays. Mark tried the guilt trip first, leaving voicemails about how I was abandoning the family. Lisa sent flowers with a note saying I was overreacting. Even Tom emailed, pretending concern while asking if I'd sign more routine papers for the firm. I ignored them all. Instead, I dove back into my quiet consulting work. See, they thought I'd retired fully, but I was still one of the top financial litigators in the Midwest, handling discrete cases for high-profile clients who valued experience over flash. My old mentor, a judge now, called to check in. "Henry, you're worth more than they know," he said. "Focus on what you do best." So I did. I pored over those house documents in secret, spotting the fraud right away. The signatures manipulated, dates fudged. I met with my trusted lawyer friend, Bill, in a coffee shop far from home. "This is reversible," he whispered. "We can take it to court quietly, prove coercion." I nodded, starting the groundwork, gathering bank records, old firm emails, anything to show their financial schemes. The wedding was months away, and they assumed I'd fade away. But as I built my case file, a shocking call came in that would change the game entirely. It was late one evening when my phone rang from an unknown D.C. number. "Mr. Henry Caldwell, this is Senator Harlan's office. We need your expertise urgently." Senator Harlan, the powerful figurehead whose family Greg was marrying into. Turns out, the senator's grandson was entangled in a massive financial fraud case, embezzlement from investors, tangled ownership disputes over family properties, the works. It was high stakes, with court dates looming and millions on the line. Their usual lawyers were outmatched, and after digging, they'd found my name, my track record in unraveling complex corporate webs. "You're the only one who can turn this around," the aide pleaded. I paused, realizing the irony. Greg's future in-laws needed me, the worthless old man. I agreed, but on my terms, discretion until the end. For weeks, I worked tirelessly, dissecting documents, preparing arguments, coordinating with Bill to mirror my own case. The senator himself called to thank me midway. "Henry, you're a lifesaver." Little did he know this would be the key to my quiet justice. Hang in there with me on the mental grand. Subscribe if you haven't, because the payoff is worth every second. The case escalated quickly. In a federal courtroom in D.C., I presented the evidence: forged signatures on property deeds, hidden financial transfers that screamed fraud. The opposite side crumbled under cross-examination, and the judge ruled in favor of the senator's family, saving their assets and reputation. The grandson hugged me afterward, tears in his eyes. Senator Harlan pulled me aside. "Henry, I owe you everything." "Who are you, really? Not just some retired lawyer." I smiled faintly. "Just a father who knows his worth." He insisted on meeting my family, but I deflected. Back in Chicago, I filed my own lawsuit quietly, no fanfare, just solid paperwork. The court date was set post-wedding, but I'd timed it perfectly. Mark and the others knew nothing. They were too busy planning Lisa's big day at a lavish estate outside the city, rubbing elbows with investors and politicos. Greg boasted about the Harlan connection, unaware I'd just saved their hides. As I suited up for what came next, I felt a surge of self-respect I'd almost lost. But the real twist was about to unfold, and it would leave them speechless. The wedding day arrived, sunny and perfect, with white tents and string quartets on the manicured lawns. I hadn't been invited, of course, but that changed when Senator Harlan's limo pulled up to my apartment that morning. "Henry, you're coming as my guest. No arguments." I obliged, stepping into the venue like a ghost from their past. Heads turned as the senator introduced me during cocktail hour. "Ladies and gentlemen, meet Henry Caldwell, the brilliant lawyer who just saved my family's fortune from ruin." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Investors from my old firm, political heavyweights, even Greg's relatives. Mark's face went pale. Lisa dropped her champagne flute. Tom stammered excuses. They pulled me aside in a side room, Mark whispering furiously, "Dad, what is this? You lied about retiring?" I looked him in the eye, calm as ever. "No, son, you just never bothered to know the truth." That's when the power shifted forever. They realized their worthless father held all the cards. In that heated whisper argument, Mark tried to play it off. "Come on, Dad, join the toast. We can fix this." Lisa chimed in, "Yeah, we're family." But Greg's eyes narrowed, sensing trouble. I pulled out copies of the court summons I'd filed, detailing the fraudulent house transfer, the workplace ouster based on falsified reports, all backed by emails and records. "This goes to trial next month," I said evenly. "You'll lose the house, partial firm shares, all the schemes you schemed for." Their jaws dropped. Tom backed away like I'd slapped him. The senator, overhearing, frowned at Greg. "Is this true? Henry, say the word and my team's on it." I didn't need to. The exposure was enough. The wedding proceeded, but the joy was tainted. Guests whispered about the family drama. Investors pulled Mark aside with concerned looks. I stayed for the ceremony, then left quietly, dignity intact. What they didn't see coming was how deeply this would unravel their world. Back home, the calls started flooding in. Mark begging for a settlement, Lisa crying about the embarrassment. Even Tom offered to make amends with firm perks. Even Greg tried schmoozing, hinting at political favors. I met with Bill, and we pushed forward. In court, the judge ruled swiftly. The house deed reverted to me fully, financial penalties hit Mark's accounts for the fraud, and I regained advisory shares in the firm, enough to influence without running it. No shouting, no drama, just legal precision. They lost investor trust. Greg's family distanced themselves slightly, wary of the scandal. I sold the house, downsizing to a cozy place near the lake, investing the proceeds wisely. My self-respect, stronger than ever. I built new connections through the senator, mentoring young lawyers, speaking at events, and in quiet moments, I reflected on fatherly dignity. It's not about forcing respect, but earning it through patience and smarts. Months turned to years. I received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Bar Association, standing on stage in a packed auditorium, recounting cases that shaped industries. From the back row, I spotted them, Mark, Lisa, Tom, watching silently. Afterward, Mark approached, voice low. Dad, I'm proud. We were wrong. It was conditional, laced with hope for reconciliation perks, but Lisa's eyes showed genuine regret. She'd started therapy, reflecting on her role. We shared coffee occasionally, boundaries firm, no exploitation. Tom faded out, chasing his own schemes. The senator became a true friend, his family a chosen one. I found peace in my work, helping others reclaim what's theirs. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, patient and precise. And that's the heart of it, folks. Dignity for fathers and elders isn't handed out. It arrives through quiet strength and justice that prevails. If this story moved you, hit that like button, drop a comment about a time patience paid off for you, and subscribe to The Mental Grand for more tales of real redemption. Remember, respect yourself first and the world follows. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.